Lucy and Jack had traveled a long way to reach this strange planet. The shuttle ride had been long and silent, except for the occasional beep of the instruments and the low hum of the engines. Lucy sat near the window, staring at the gray, dusty surface of the planet below. It looked empty, lifeless, but she could feel a strange energy radiating from it. She had read the reports of the archive, but seeing it with her own eyes made her heart beat faster. Jack, sitting beside her, didn't speak. He was always calm, always careful, but Lucy could see the tension in his hands as he held onto the straps of his seat. When the shuttle landed with a soft thud, the ramp lowered slowly, revealing the surface outside. The wind was light but cold, carrying a faint metallic smell. Lucy took a step down, her boots sinking slightly into the gray dust. Jack followed closely behind. They were not alone. A small group of aliens, tall and thin, with smooth gray skin and wide eyes, moved around them. They whispered in a language Lucy couldn't understand, their voices soft and cautious. These aliens were scientists, explorers like them, but they seemed nervous. The building before them was enormous. It stretched high into the sky, with walls that shimmered faintly as if alive. The archive was not just a structure. It felt like a living being, breathing slowly in the quiet atmosphere of the planet. Its doors were massive, made of an unknown material that seemed to hum with energy. Lucy felt drawn to it. She had no idea what was inside, but she felt that the answers to questions she didn't even know yet were waiting there. Inside, the archive was vast beyond imagination. Rows upon rows of shelves stretched in every direction, and each shelf was filled with strange tablets. They glowed faintly in different colors, blue, green, yellow, and seemed to pulse softly like they were alive. The walls of the archive were smooth, silver, and reflective, making the space seem even larger. Lucy's eyes widened as she walked further in, her footsteps echoing in the silence. She could hear the soft hum of the tablets, and it made her feel both excited and nervous. Jack walked beside her, scanning the area with his handheld device. "There's no record of anything like this," he murmured. Lucy nodded. "It's like a library, but not of our world," she said. They walked slowly, careful not to touch anything, though the temptation was strong. Some of the tablets hovered slightly above the shelves, and she noticed that they moved gently, almost as if responding to their presence. The aliens around them whispered constantly, pointing at the tablets and making small gestures. Lucy tried to understand what they were saying, but it sounded like worry. They did not know what these tablets were for. Lucy paused in front of one tablet that glowed a soft blue. She reached out her hand, stopping just before touching it. There was a warmth, almost like a vibration, flowing through her fingers even though she hadn't made contact. She frowned, trying to make sense of the feeling. Jack noticed and looked over. "Careful," he said, but there was a hint of wonder in his voice too. Lucy smiled. "It's strange, it feels like it wants to be seen," she said. The alien scientists muttered again, exchanging nervous glances. They continued to walk, moving deeper into the archive. The tablets became more numerous, their glow brighter and more varied. Lucy noticed symbols etched into the surfaces, patterns that looked familiar yet entirely alien. Some symbols were geometric, like triangles and circles, while others looked like flowing lines or waves. She bent down to study one more closely. "These are not just writing," she whispered to Jack. "There's something else, a language of shapes and light." Jack nodded slowly, his eyes scanning the patterns. "I've never seen anything like this," he said. "Not in any archive, not in any records." As they moved further, Lucy felt a strange connection to the tablets. It was as if they were communicating not with words but with feelings. Some tablets seemed anxious, pulsing faster when she walked by, while others felt calm, glowing gently. She could almost hear a faint whisper in her mind, a sound that was not sound but thought. The aliens around her were starting to grow uneasy. Some of them stepped back, keeping their distance. Lucy ignored them. She had to see more. Jack and Lucy reached a central chamber in the archive. The room was enormous, with a high, curved ceiling that reflected the glow of thousands of tablets. The air felt heavier here, thick with an energy that made their skin tingle. Lucy's eyes swept across the room, taking in the endless shelves, the hovering tablets, and the soft hum that seemed to grow louder as they moved forward. Jack held out his scanner again, trying to make sense of it. "The energy readings are off the charts," he said. "I've never seen anything like this." Lucy stepped closer to a cluster of tablets in the center. They floated slightly above the floor, spinning slowly. She could see intricate designs on each one, symbols that shifted and changed as she watched. "They're alive," she said softly. "Not alive like us, but alive somehow." Jack frowned, unsure whether to believe her or worry. The aliens seemed terrified now, whispering urgently among themselves. Lucy didn't care. She wanted to understand. She reached out again, letting her hand hover just above one of the glowing tablets. A sudden warmth surged into her arm, and she felt a flash of images. Stars exploding, planets being born, strange machines moving across unknown landscapes. She gasped and pulled back. "Jack, look at this," she said, pointing at the tablet. Jack stepped closer, scanning the images with his device, but it could not interpret them. "It's too advanced," he said. "I don't think anything we have can understand this." Lucy's heart raced. "I think these tablets are trying to tell us something," she said, almost to herself. "They're not just history, they're messages." She looked at the aliens who were backing away slowly. "Do you feel it?" she asked. "They want someone to listen." Jack placed a hand on her shoulder. "If anyone can understand it, it's you," he said. Lucy nodded, taking a deep breath. She would try. She had to. The two of them moved carefully through the archive, stopping in front of each cluster of tablets. Some glowed with soft greens and blues, some with harsh yellows and reds. Lucy noticed that the glow seemed to respond to her presence, shifting and pulsing like a heartbeat. She bent down to study one that glowed a deep blue. Its surface shimmered like water, and symbols flowed across it in a rhythm that made her dizzy. She closed her eyes for a moment and tried to feel the message it carried. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. Lucy and Jack walked the endless rows, studying and recording what they could. The aliens grew restless, whispering in alarm. "There is something here we do not understand," one of them said. Lucy smiled faintly. "Exactly," she whispered. "And that's why we're here." Jack held his small scanner in his hands and moved it slowly across the glowing tablet. The device beeped lightly, scanning symbol after symbol, trying to make sense of the strange markings. He frowned and shook his head. "Nothing," he said quietly. "It's like the scanner can't even touch their meaning." Lucy crouched beside him, leaning closer to the tablet. She traced the strange lines with her finger, careful not to touch the surface, letting her hand hover just above it. The symbols pulsed faintly, almost as if responding to her movement. Lucy's eyes moved across the row of tablets in front of her. She had been watching them for some time, and now she began to notice patterns, shapes that repeated, lines that connected symbols in ways that seemed deliberate. There were triangles next to circles, then spirals, then something that almost looked like a star. She pointed to the sequence. "Jack, look at this," she said softly. "These are not random. They are connected." Jack glanced over, his brow furrowed. He looked at the tablet, then back at Lucy. "Patterns? Are you sure?" he asked. "They look like designs. Beautiful but meaningless." Lucy shook her head. "No, they're not just designs. I've seen similar patterns in old star maps and ancient codes. These might be instructions." Jack raised his eyebrows. "Instructions?" He sounded doubtful but curious. Lucy nodded, feeling a rush of excitement. "Or warnings. Or a message. Something someone wanted to preserve, and to pass on." She looked around the chamber at the thousands of glowing tablets, all seemingly arranged with care. "This isn't just a library," she said. "It's a message for someone." Jack sighed and leaned back against a shelf. He watched as Lucy moved from tablet to tablet, her eyes following the flow of symbols, tracing lines that connected distant shapes. The aliens behind them whispered nervously, some shaking their heads. "They cannot see the meaning," one said in their soft, trembling language. Lucy ignored them. She felt that no one else could understand this, not yet. She only had to focus and let the tablet speak to her mind. Hours passed, though it felt shorter in the quiet of the archive. Lucy continued to move from one shelf to another, her eyes constantly scanning. Jack stayed close, occasionally scanning a tablet with his device, trying to find some hint or key that could help. The devices picked up energy readings, electromagnetic patterns, and faint vibrations, but none of it made sense in terms of language. "It's like a code written in light and energy instead of words," Lucy murmured. "It's beautiful. And alive." Jack listened, still doubtful, but he could not deny that the tablet seemed to respond to Lucy's presence. Lucy paused at one tablet that glowed with a deep green light. Its symbols moved in a pattern that seemed almost like a dance. She held her hand above it and felt warmth spreading up her arm. Her mind was filled with flashes of images, planets spinning, stars being born, strange machines moving across barren landscapes. She gasped and looked at Jack. "Jack, they're showing me something," she said. Jack stepped closer, his scanner raised, but it remained silent, reading nothing. "I don't understand it," he admitted. "But I think I think it's meant for you. Lucy felt a shiver run down her spine. The symbols were not random, they repeated in ways that seemed deliberate. One set of spirals matched the movement of stars in distant galaxies. Another set resembled constellations she had seen in human history books. She began to hum softly, letting her mind flow with the rhythm of the symbols. The aliens behind her shifted nervously, whispering faster. Lucy ignored them. The message was not for them. It was for her. She had to understand it. As she moved to the next tablet, she noticed a faint line of light connecting two symbols. She followed the line with her finger and suddenly the tablet pulsed brighter. The symbols shifted, forming new shapes. Lucy's eyes widened. "Jack, look," she said. He bent down beside her. The symbols seemed to rearrange themselves in response to her attention. "It's alive," Jack said quietly. "Or it's listening." Lucy nodded, her heart racing. "It's a message. And it's choosing to reveal itself to us." The central chamber of the archive was enormous, and the glow of the thousands of tablets filled the space with a soft, colored light. Lucy and Jack walked slowly down one of the long aisles, observing clusters of symbols that seemed to form patterns across tablets on different shelves. Some shapes mirrored others, forming larger designs when viewed from a distance. Lucy pointed to one. "See this?" she said. "These triangles repeat here and here and here. It's like a map, or a warning system." Jack squinted. "A warning system? From who?" he asked. Lucy shook her head. "I don't know yet. But someone wanted it to survive. And they wanted it to be understood." The aliens were growing restless. Some whispered urgently among themselves. Lucy could hear fragments of words: danger, forbidden, do not touch. But Lucy ignored them. She was not afraid. She felt a strange calm, a certainty that she had never felt before. She moved closer to a cluster of 3 tablets, glowing faintly in blue and gold. Their patterns twisted together in shapes that almost looked like stars spinning in a galaxy. "They're connected," Lucy murmured. "This is one message, not many separate ones. Someone, some intelligence, made all of this to be read as a whole." Jack studied the tablets, moving his hand over the surface of one. The scanner beeped lightly, but it could not read the symbols. "I think you're right," he said. "There's something here. Something important. But I don't know how to reach it." Lucy smiled faintly. "We'll reach it," she said. "I can feel it. It's not written in words, it's written in energy, in shapes, in light. We just have to learn its language." She paused, studying the glowing symbols. "And we will." Time seemed to pass differently in the archive. Hours felt like minutes as Lucy moved from one tablet to another, following the connections she saw. She traced lines of symbols across the shelves, noting which symbols repeated, which pulsed faster, and which glowed brighter when she focused on them. Jack helped, pointing out patterns he saw in the scanner readings, even if he could not understand the message fully. Together they began to form the outline of what might be hidden in the archive. Lucy noticed that some tablets pulsed stronger when she thought of certain ideas, like protection, danger, or warning. It was as if the tablets responded to the intent of the observer, not just the observer's eyes. "I think they know we're here," she whispered. "They're testing us, waiting to see if we can understand." Jack frowned but nodded. "Then we'll pass the test," he said quietly. "If anyone can, it's us." Finally, Lucy paused in front of a tablet that glowed with a soft, golden light. Its symbols were intricate, swirling in patterns that reminded her of wind or water. She placed her hand just above it, feeling the warmth spreading into her palm. Images flashed in her mind: stars exploding, machines moving across planets, and strange symbols that seemed to rearrange themselves. "Jack, they're trying to speak to us," she said. "I don't know how yet, but it's a message, and it's important." Jack stood behind her, awestruck. "I've never seen anything like this," he said. "We're not just looking at history or records. We're witnessing something alive. Something ancient." Lucy nodded. Lucy's eyes were fixed on a single tablet that glowed with an eerie red light. It was different from the others. While most of the tablets had soft blues or greens, this one seemed to pulse like a heartbeat, urgent and insistent. She moved closer, careful not to touch it, and noticed the symbols shifting as she watched. They formed strange shapes that she had never seen before: planets shattered into pieces, stars exploding in silent brilliance, and cities burning across strange alien landscapes. Her heart began to race. She felt a tightness in her chest, a mixture of fear and awe. Jack stepped beside her, holding his scanner out toward the glowing tablet. "Lucy, the scanner isn't picking anything up," he said, his voice low. It can't read this. Not even close. Lucy shook her head, feeling a chill. It doesn't matter what your scanner can read, she said softly. This isn't just writing. It's showing us something. Look at it, Jack. Look. He leaned closer, his eyes widening as the symbols shifted and danced, forming patterns that looked like collapsing galaxies. For a moment, the room felt colder, heavier, as if the tablet itself carried the weight of what it was showing. The alien scientists around them whispered nervously. Some stepped back, their large eyes wide with fear. It is dangerous, one of them said, their voice trembling. Do not touch. Do not look. Lucy ignored them. She had to see. She had to understand. Slowly, she stretched her hand out, hovering just above the tablet. The red light pulsed faster as if responding to her presence. She felt warmth, then a sudden rush of images, faster than her mind could process. She gasped, stepping back. The images hit her all at once. Entire worlds collapsing, skies filled with fire, stars imploding into nothingness, strange machines spreading across planets like parasites, wiping out life. Lucy stumbled slightly, clutching Jack's arm for support. This isn't history, she whispered, voice trembling. It's a warning. Jack's eyes followed hers, scanning the tablet, scanning the images. He could not interpret them with his devices, but the danger was clear. The destruction was too precise, too complete to be random. It was deliberate, like a message meant to be understood. Lucy bent down to examine the tablet more closely. She could see intricate lines connecting the symbols, forming sequences that hinted at cause and effect. One pattern showed a star burning bright, then splitting into pieces. Another showed a planet being struck by something invisible, then a city collapsing. The images were horrifying, but Lucy also sensed a purpose in them. Someone, or something, had created this tablet not to terrify but to teach, to warn. Jack glanced around nervously. The aliens were whispering louder now, some moving further away from the glowing tablet. Lucy, maybe we shouldn't be here, one of them said softly. This is too much. Lucy shook her head firmly. No, she said. This is why we came. This tablet is telling us something important. It doesn't want to scare us. It wants to be understood. She took a deep breath, focusing on the symbols again. The tablet's light pulsed steadily, almost as if agreeing with her. As she watched, Lucy began to notice small details in the chaos of the images. There were repeated symbols she had seen on other tablets, patterns that seemed to connect this destruction with other parts of the archive. Lines of triangles, spirals, and dots formed pathways between worlds. She traced them with her fingers, imagining the movement of stars, the rotation of planets. Jack, these are not just pictures, she said softly. They're a story, a warning story. Jack nodded slowly, his face pale. A warning, he repeated. To whom? To us. Lucy's mind raced. She had felt before that humans might be connected to these tablets in some way, but seeing the destruction made it real. Whoever had made these tablets had lived through or predicted disasters that spanned galaxies. And somehow humans were meant to see it. She felt a shiver run down her spine. It's for someone who can act, she said quietly. Someone who can respond. And I think, that's us. Jack looked at her, his mouth slightly open. You really think so? He asked. Lucy nodded. I do. We're here for a reason, Jack. I can feel it. She studied the tablet further, noticing that some of the symbols seemed to glow brighter when she focused on certain parts of the images. A cluster of dots representing stars pulsed faster, then slowed. Lines connecting planets flickered with light. Lucy realized the tablet was interactive, responding to attention and intent. It wants us to pay attention, she said. It wants us to understand. Jack watched her closely. He could not feel the same connection, but he could see her determination, and he trusted her instincts. The alien scientists began murmuring warnings again, some trying to move Lucy and Jack away. Do not interfere, one said urgently. It is dangerous to observe. Lucy turned to them briefly. We are not interfering, she said calmly. We are listening. That is all. She turned back to the tablet. The images shifted again, this time showing something that looked like a chain reaction across multiple systems. Planets were destroyed, but then new stars formed. Machines spread across worlds, but some planets survived. Lucy realized this was not just a story of destruction. It was a story of choices and consequences. She pointed to one sequence. Look at this, she said. It shows destruction, yes, but also survival. Someone is showing us how events unfold. They want us to learn from it. Jack's eyes followed the line of symbols. He felt a strange weight settle in his chest. It's Terrifying, he admitted. But there's logic to it. Patterns. Lucy nodded. Exactly. And that means it's not random. Someone designed this warning carefully. Lucy bent closer to the tablet, letting her eyes follow the flow of energy within it. Symbols moved like rivers of light, connecting stars, worlds, and cities. She could feel a faint vibration, a rhythm in the patterns. It made her heart pound. Jack, the energy, it's alive, she whispered. It's like it wants to communicate. Jack placed a hand on her shoulder, steadying her. Then we have to listen, he said. If anyone can understand this, it's you. Lucy smiled faintly, feeling reassured. The images continued to change. Some showed civilizations rising, then falling, then rising again. Stars died, then were born. Lucy realized that the message was not just about the past, it was about the future. Someone had preserved these tablets so that the warning could reach the right eyes at the right time. She felt a thrill of purpose and fear at the same time. Jack, we are seeing the future too, she said softly. And it's up to us to understand it before it's too late. Jack glanced at the aliens. They were clearly anxious, whispering in their strange language. Lucy ignored them. Their fear was natural, they could not see what she could. Lucy reached out, letting her hand hover over the tablet once more. The warmth surged into her arm and the images became clearer. Stars collapsing, worlds shattering, machines spreading, civilizations perishing, but always small pockets of survival remained. The message was clear. There was danger, but there was hope. Lucy stepped back, her eyes still fixed on the glowing tablet. This is why we are here, she said softly. Not just to explore, not just to study, but to see, to understand, and maybe to act. This is a warning. And we cannot ignore it. Jack nodded slowly, still absorbing the scope of what they were seeing. It's overwhelming, he admitted. But I trust you. If anyone can figure out what it's telling us, it's you. Lucy felt a strange calm settle over her. She looked at the images one last time, letting them sink in. She could see the destruction, the chaos, the dying stars, but she also saw patterns of survival, signs that the creator of these tablets had left instructions, clues hidden in the chaos. We have to decode it, she whispered. We have to understand everything. Jack placed a hand on her shoulder again, steadying her. Then we will, he said. Together. 4 hours, Lucy and Jack studied the tablet, tracing the symbols, following the lines, and trying to understand the message hidden in the images. The aliens stayed nearby, whispering and watching with concern, but Lucy felt nothing but focus. The tablet was alive, it was speaking, and it had chosen them to listen. The images shifted constantly, showing destruction and survival in a cycle. Lucy realized that whoever created this had seen countless events unfold and had prepared these warnings for a species capable of learning from them. Finally, Lucy took a deep breath and looked at Jack. We have to show the others, she said. They need to see this, all of them. The warnings, the signs, everything. Jack nodded. We'll do it carefully, he said. But yes, everyone must know. Lucy smiled faintly, feeling the weight of responsibility. They were not just explorers. They were the first humans to witness this warning, and perhaps the first to act on it. The red light of the tablet pulsed gently as if acknowledging her words. Lucy's heart pounded, but her mind was clear. This was why she had come here. To witness, to understand, to carry the message forward. She and Jack were ready. The tablet's glow reflected in her eyes and she whispered once more softly to herself, "This isn't history, it's a warning." Lucy and Jack had spent hours studying the glowing tablets, tracing the lines and symbols, trying to understand the story they told. Each tablet seemed to pulse with energy, responding to their attention. The images of destroyed worlds, dying stars, and collapsing civilizations lingered in Lucy's mind. But as she moved through the rows, she began to notice something new. Certain symbols kept appearing together, symbols that seemed to point to a single, intelligent species. At first, she thought it was another alien race, perhaps the creators of the tablets. But slowly, an idea began to form in her mind. She paused before a set of 3 tablets that glowed brighter than the rest. She held her hand just above them, letting the warmth flow through her palm. The symbols shifted in response, forming patterns that seemed deliberate, purposeful. Lucy's heart began to race. She traced the lines connecting the symbols and gasped. "Jack, look at this," she said. "They're pointing to one species." Jack leaned over, squinting at the intricate shapes. "One species? Which one?" Lucy shook her head. "It's us, it has to be humans." Jack stepped back, surprised. "Humans?" he repeated. "But we're fragile. Small, weak, we destroy our own world sometimes." Why would they choose us? Lucy shook her head firmly. I don't know why they chose us, but they did. Look at the patterns. Look at the energy. It's clear. They expect us to respond. They expect us to act. Jack frowned, still unsure. He looked at the glowing tablets, their symbols moving and flowing like rivers of light. I don't know if we're ready, he admitted. We've barely even begun to understand anything here. Lucy felt a strange surge of determination. She had felt before that humans were different, creative, unpredictable, able to think in ways no other species could, but seeing it confirmed in the tablets filled her with awe. Jack, she said softly, these tablets are ancient. They survived countless events, countless disasters. And through all of that they kept leaving clues. For us. They didn't choose the strongest. They didn't choose the smartest. They chose the ones who can adapt, the ones who can respond. Jack was quiet for a moment. He glanced around at the aliens watching them nervously. The alien scientists whispered among themselves, shaking their heads. It cannot be humans, one of them said finally, in a voice that sounded almost fearful. Humans are weak, fragile. They cannot survive what is coming. Lucy shook her head and turned to them. You don't understand, she said calmly. Humans are fragile, yes, but fragile does not mean powerless. We can think, we can create, we can act in ways others cannot. That's why the tablets point to us. That's why we can respond. Jack watched as Lucy traced the lines connecting symbols across several tablets. The patterns seemed to form a map of sorts, a network that spread across many star systems. Some points were glowing brighter than others, and Lucy realized they marked events, locations, or dangers. They expect someone to notice, she said softly. They expect someone to understand what's coming and do something about it. She paused, studying the glowing lines. And that someone is us. The aliens whispered again, more urgently this time. They moved slightly away, clearly disturbed by Lucy's words. Humans cannot survive alone, one said. They are reckless. They act without thought. They are not capable of responding to such threats. Lucy shook her head. That's exactly why we can, she said. Recklessness is one thing. Thinking outside the rules is another. Humans can improvise. Humans can solve problems that seem impossible. And humans can respond when others cannot. That's why they chose us. Jack studied her, watching her determination. He could feel the truth in her words, even if he could not fully understand it yet. He looked back at the glowing tablets and saw the patterns, the lines, the connections. It was overwhelming, but he felt a small thrill. If anyone can respond, he said slowly, it's humans. I believe you, Lucy. She smiled faintly, feeling a surge of hope. Then we have to figure it out, she said. We have to understand what the tablets are trying to tell us so we can be ready. Lucy moved along the row of tablets, tracing the symbols with her fingers as if they were threads in a vast cosmic tapestry. She noticed repeating shapes, triangles, spirals, dots, that seemed to indicate danger, survival, or opportunity. Each time she paused on a cluster, the symbols pulsed brighter, responding to her attention. She realized the tablets were guiding them, teaching them, testing them. And she could feel that humans were the ones meant to pass the test. Jack followed closely behind, scanning the tablets with his device, even if it could not read the symbols. He could feel the weight of responsibility settling over them both. The aliens seemed uneasy, whispering constantly. They are fragile, one said again with a note of fear. They cannot survive what is coming. Lucy stopped and looked at him. Fragile does not mean useless, she said. Humans have something others do not. We can think, we can adapt, we can act in unexpected ways. That's why the tablets point to us. Lucy bent closer to a tablet that glowed a deep blue. Symbols shifted as she traced them with her hand. She could see sequences forming, a series of events leading from one planet to another, from one star system to the next. They are showing us paths, she whispered. Paths of action. Steps to follow. They are waiting for someone to understand and respond. Jack looked over her shoulder, his eyes wide. And that someone is humans, he said quietly. Lucy nodded. Yes, we are the ones who can respond. She stepped back, taking in the glow of the tablets around them. The energy in the room pulsed like a heartbeat, gentle but insistent. She realized that these tablets were not just messages, they were instructions. Carefully hidden, preserved for thousands of years, waiting for a species that could act when others could not. And now humans were here. Lucy felt a thrill of purpose, a surge of responsibility. They were not just explorers, they were chosen. The aliens seemed uneasy, some moving slightly away, muttering among themselves. But Lucy ignored them. Their doubt did not matter. The tablets had chosen humans and humans were here. She felt a quiet determination settle over her. "We have to follow it," she said softly to Jack. "We have to figure it out. We are the ones who can respond. That is why they chose us." Jack placed a hand on her shoulder, steadying her. "Then we'll do it," he said quietly. "We'll figure it out together." Lucy nodded. She turned back to the glowing tablets, tracing the lines, studying the patterns, following the pulses of light. Each sequence seemed to test them, teaching them, guiding them. And with every step, Lucy felt more certain. Humans were fragile, but they were also capable. They were unpredictable, creative, and courageous. That was why the tablets had pointed to them. As the hours passed, Lucy and Jack moved through the archive, studying the tablets in careful detail. They traced symbols, connected lines, and began to see a story emerge. The tablets showed dangers, yes, but also solutions. Steps that could be taken, choices that could save or destroy worlds. Lucy realized that the ancient intelligence that had created the tablets had anticipated many disasters, but it had chosen humans to be the ones to respond. And she felt a quiet pride, knowing that humans had a role in this vast, cosmic plan. She paused at a tablet that glowed gold, its symbols swirling like a miniature galaxy. She reached out her hand, letting the warmth flow into her palm. The symbols shifted and pulsed, forming new sequences that she had not noticed before. "Look, Jack," she whispered. "These symbols, they are guiding us, showing us what to do." Jack leaned closer, awe in his eyes. "It's incredible," he said softly. "We were chosen for this." Lucy nodded, feeling the weight of that responsibility settle over her. The alien scientists continued to whisper, clearly uneasy. But Lucy ignored them. She could feel the energy of the tablets, the purpose behind the symbols, and the message they carried. Humans were not strong in the traditional sense. They were fragile, yes, but they could act in ways no other species could. That was why the tablets had chosen them. That was why she and Jack were here. Lucy moved from tablet to tablet, studying the connections, tracing the lines, and feeling the patterns as if they were a living language. She realized that understanding the tablets would take time, patience, and courage. But she was ready. She had no doubt now. Humans were the ones who could respond. Humans were the ones who could act when others could not. And Lucy felt a deep sense of purpose, knowing that the future of countless worlds might depend on them. She turned to Jack, her eyes shining. "We can do this," she said softly. "We're humans. We can respond. That is why they chose us." Jack nodded firmly. "Then let's start," he said. Together, they continued to study the glowing tablets, tracing the patterns, connecting the symbols, and preparing to take on the responsibility the ancient intelligence had entrusted to them. The tablets pulsed gently, thousands of them, waiting to reveal their secrets to the humans who could understand. Lucy's heart raced with excitement and determination. She had never felt so alive, so important, and so ready. Humans were fragile, but they were also capable. And for the first time she truly understood why. Lucy moved carefully along the rows of glowing tablets, her eyes scanning the symbols that shifted and pulsed like living light. Each tablet seemed to respond to her attention, brightening or slowing its glow depending on where she focused. Jack followed behind her, carrying his scanner, though it could not read the strange symbols. He relied on Lucy's instincts and observations, trusting her judgment completely. Together, they had been exploring the archive for days, tracing patterns and following the flow of energy hidden in the symbols. Each new tablet added to the story, slowly revealing its meaning. Lucy paused in front of a tablet that glowed with a deep amber color. Its symbols twisted in complex loops, forming patterns she had not seen before. She felt a vibration in her hand as she moved closer. It was faint, almost like a heartbeat, but steady and insistent. Lucy's mind raced as she traced the symbols with her fingers. The tablet seemed to respond to her touch, rearranging its shapes, forming sequences that connected to other tablets she had seen earlier. "Jack," she said quietly, "look at this. It's starting to make sense. I can see instructions hidden here." Jack leaned over her shoulder, studying the glowing tablet. "Instructions? What kind of instructions?" he asked, his voice tense. Lucy traced another sequence of symbols, following the light that connected multiple tablets across the shelves. "It's a warning, yes," she said. "But it's more than that. Some intelligence left these instructions for a species that could act. And they chose humans. Look at these patterns. They're guiding us step by step." Jack's eyes widened as he followed her hand along the symbols. "Step by step? Like directions?" he asked. Lucy nodded. "Yes. Not just directions but guidance. How to respond, how to prevent disasters, how to survive events that could destroy entire star systems. She paused, looking at the glowing tablets with awe. This is enormous, Jack. It's a galaxy-wide warning. Whoever created these tablets knew that something catastrophic could happen. And they left this for someone who could respond. That someone is us. Jack's hands shook slightly as he scanned the tablet again. He could not read the symbols with his scanner, but he could feel the energy pulsing through the room. The aliens around them whispered nervously, some moving further back. It cannot be humans, one said in a trembling voice. We are fragile, they cannot survive such challenges. Lucy turned to them, her voice calm but firm. You don't understand. Humans are fragile, yes, but we are also creative and bold. We can see possibilities others cannot. We can act when others hesitate. That is why we are the ones who can respond. Lucy focused again on the amber tablet. She traced the lines of symbols carefully, noticing that some glowed brighter when she imagined certain actions. Moving fleets, protecting planets, or sending warnings. She realized that the tablets were interactive in a way she had not understood before. They were teaching, guiding, testing. Each pattern she followed revealed more information, a step in the process, a clue on how to respond to the disaster. She felt a thrill of purpose, knowing that this knowledge had survived thousands of years, waiting for humans to find it. Jack followed her closely, though he could not see the full meaning. Lucy, he said quietly, how can we do all this? A galaxy-wide disaster. It's impossible. Even humans alone cannot stop it. Lucy looked up, her eyes filled with determination. Impossible doesn't mean we won't try, she said. The tablets are not asking for perfection. They are asking for action. They are showing a path, and it is up to us to follow it. Humans are unpredictable. Humans can be creative. Humans can do what others cannot. That is why we are chosen. Lucy moved to another tablet nearby, which glowed deep blue. The symbols here were more intricate, showing chains of events across star systems, sequences of cause and effect. Planets in danger, stars at risk of collapsing, civilizations threatened. Each symbol connected to another, forming a map of disasters and solutions. She realized that the intelligence that created these tablets had anticipated countless possibilities. And somehow humans were meant to interpret them, to act, to prevent the worst from happening. Jack studied the tablets silently. He could see the flow of energy linking them, the sequences connecting one system to another. The scale of the warning was staggering. He whispered, Lucy, this could destroy everything. Millions of lives, countless worlds. Lucy nodded. I know, she said softly. That's why the instructions matter. The tablets are not just warnings, they are solutions. They show the steps to prevent disaster, but only someone bold and creative enough to understand can follow them. That's why humans are here. Lucy bent closer to the glowing blue tablet, letting her hand hover just above the symbols. Warmth flowed into her palm and she felt a connection, a resonance with the patterns. The tablet pulsed gently as if responding to her intent. She began to trace the sequences, connecting symbols across multiple tablets, forming a larger picture. Jack watched, his eyes wide. Lucy, it's like it's alive, he whispered. It's trying to teach us. Lucy nodded. Exactly. The intelligence that created these tablets left them alive with information. They respond to the mind, to the intent, to the understanding of the observer. That's why they chose humans. We can think, adapt, and respond in ways other species cannot. Lucy moved slowly along the rows, connecting sequences from tablet to tablet. Symbols pulsed brighter as she traced them, guiding her through the instructions hidden in the glowing patterns. Each new connection revealed a small part of the larger solution. How to protect certain planets, how to contain spreading disasters, how to warn civilizations before events became irreversible. She could feel the urgency in the tablets, the silent insistence that someone act. And now humans were that someone. Lucy stood before the central console of the archive, her hand hovering over the controls. The glowing tablets surrounded her in endless rows, their soft pulses lighting the chamber like stars. She could feel the energy flowing from the tablets into the room, warm and insistent, as if urging her to act. Jack stood beside her, scanning the glowing symbols one last time to make sure they had not missed anything. The archive had revealed countless warnings, patterns of destruction, and sequences of instructions hidden among the lights and shapes. Now it was time to act. This is it, Lucy said quietly, her eyes fixed on the central console. We've traced the instructions. We know what to do. Now we send the warning. Jack nodded, feeling a mixture of awe and fear. Are we sure this will work? He asked. Lucy took a deep breath. I don't know, she admitted. But the archive chose us. It trusted humans to respond. If we fail, the consequences will be terrible. But if we act, we can save countless worlds. She looked around at the floating tablets, letting their soft glow fill her eyes. It's our turn now. We're the ones who can act. The alien scientists hovered nearby, their tall, thin forms tense. Their eyes, wide and cautious, reflected the soft glow of the tablets. They whispered among themselves, clearly nervous. They are activating it, one said in a trembling voice. Humans, they may be capable, but they are fragile. Can they really do this? Lucy ignored their whispers. She did not need their approval. The archive had chosen humans, and humans were ready to respond. Her mind was calm, clear, focused. Lucy pressed her hand onto the glowing console, and energy spread through the room like a wave. The tablets pulsed in response, brighter, faster, their light converging toward the central hub. Lines of glowing symbols connected across the room, forming patterns that stretched toward the ceiling and beyond. Lucy could feel the pulse of the archive as if it were alive, moving with her heartbeat. She adjusted her hand, following the sequence the archive seemed to be showing her. Jack watched in silence, marveling at the precision and power of the energy around them. Ready? Lucy asked softly. Jack nodded, gripping the side of the console. Ready. Lucy exhaled and pressed the final sequence, activating the beacon hidden within the archive. A sudden surge of light erupted from the central console, spreading outward in beams that reached the ceiling and then streamed through the walls. The energy spread like ripples in water, and Lucy felt the pulse move through her, warm and insistent. The tablets around her glowed brighter than ever, responding to her action, acknowledging her choice. Across the stars, the signal from the archive spread. Human colonies on distant worlds received it immediately, systems flickering with the warning. Ships and stations blinked with alert signals, and humans across planets paused to observe the strange, urgent transmissions. Lucy could not see them directly, but she felt the reach of the archive through the energy of the beacon. The warning traveled fast, carrying not only information but also instructions, showing what needed to be done to prevent disasters. The aliens around her watched in awe, unable to hide their astonishment. Some whispered nervously, others stared with wide eyes. They did it, one said softly, almost in disbelief. The humans, they are following the archive's instructions. They are activating it. Lucy looked around at them, her face calm yet determined. Yes, she said. We are humans. We can respond. We can act. And we will. The aliens exchanged glances, some still fearful, but all clearly impressed. They had doubted the humans, calling them fragile, but now they could see the choice of the archive was deliberate. Jack stepped beside Lucy, placing a hand on the console. Lucy, it's working, he said. The energy, the warning, it's moving out to the colonies. The archive is alive and we're the ones it chose. Lucy smiled faintly. Yes, Jack. The archive waited for the right species. And that species is humans. We're the ones who can act. We're ready. Her eyes swept across the glowing tablets, thousands of them, each one alive with energy, each one a part of the vast network of instructions and warnings. The pulse of the archive seemed to synchronize with Lucy's heartbeat, steady, insistent. She felt the importance of this moment deep within her chest. These were not just warnings of danger, they were instructions, guidance, and hope. And humans were the ones meant to carry them forward. Lucy and Jack had spent days tracing symbols, connecting patterns, and deciphering the sequences. Now, the archive itself was amplifying their work, sending it out into the galaxy. Lucy took a deep breath, letting the warmth of the energy flow through her. Jack, she said softly, we did it. We activated the beacon. The colonies will know. They will prepare. They will act. Jack nodded, his eyes reflecting the glow of the surrounding tablets. Yes, he said quietly. And it's only the beginning. The archive has more to teach us, but this first step, this first warning, is already out there. The alien scientists continued to whisper, clearly both worried and impressed. They have done what we doubted possible, one murmured. Humans, fragile yet capable. They have activated the beacon and sent the warnings. Perhaps they are the ones meant to respond. Lucy nodded, letting her eyes move across the rows of floating tablets. We are capable, she said quietly, more to herself than anyone else. Fragile does not mean powerless. Bold does not mean reckless. Humans can act when others cannot. And now the warnings are out. We are ready. The energy from the beacon pulsed outward, traveling through the archive and into space. Lucy could feel it reach distant stars, travel across planets, and connect with human colonies. She imagined the people on those distant worlds receiving the warning, reading the instructions, understanding the dangers ahead. She felt a deep sense of pride and responsibility. Humans had been chosen for a reason, and now they had begun to act. Jack leaned closer, watching Lucy with admiration. "Lucy, the archive, the warnings, everything, it's alive. It's reacting to us. And we're the ones it trusted." Lucy smiled faintly. "Yes, Jack. It trusted humans. And humans are ready. We've studied, we've traced, we've understood. And now we act." She placed her hand gently on the central console, feeling the pulse of the archive through her fingertips. The light spread faster, sending signals into the galaxy, carrying the guidance and warnings hidden in the glowing tablets.